How many resurrection stories from the book of wisdom or the Bible do you know? Well, there could be more than you think. And in those, how many do you believe? Or which one do you think is the most significant of all of them? In this first video, my friend, we explore and take a look at some of these resurrections. But first, let's hear what the book itself is telling us today. From 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 7, it says, "The end of all things is near. Therefore, be clear-minded and self-controlled so that you can pray." Let's give thanks for life and dive in. Father, thank you for this beautiful day, for your love, Father. Thank you for courage to be alive today, Father. We give glory to you. Thank you for your precious soul, today's viewer, Father. We uplift your name, Father. Thank you for the experience we shall have together. Bless this viewer abundantly and fill their hearts with your love. In your holy name, Jesus Christ, we give thanks for everything. Amen. Precious Athlete, let's listen to these stories.
I was actually being generous when I said that there were 10 resurrections in the Bible. Why was Jesus' resurrection so significant when there's actually a total of 14 resurrections, including Jesus? 14 resurrections. Now, I'm not going to go over all 14 resurrections, but we definitely can look at a couple. 2 Kings 4:32 shows that Elisha is a perv, willing to do some pretty gross things to resurrect children. Gehazi hurried on ahead and laid the staff on the child's face, but nothing happened. There was no sign of life. He returned to meet Elisha and told him the child is still dead. When Elisha arrived, the child was indeed dead, lying there on the prophet's bed. He went in alone and shut the door behind him and prayed to the Lord. Then he lay down on the child's body, placing his mouth on the child's mouth, his eyes on the child's eyes, and his hands on the child's hands. And as he stretched out onto him, the child's body began to grow warm again. Elisha got up, walked back and forth across the room once, and then stretched himself again out over the child. This time the boy sneezed 7 times and opened his eyes. Acts 9:40 is the resurrection of Tabitha. But Peter asked them all to leave the room. Then he knelt and prayed. Turning to the body, he said, "Get up, Tabitha." And she opened her eyes. When she saw Peter, she sat up. He gave her his hand and helped her up. Then he called in the widows and all the believers, and he presented her to them alive. Or the classic Lazarus story in John 11:43, where it says, "Then Jesus shouted, 'Lazarus, come out!' And the dead man came out, his hands and feet bound in grave clothes, his face wrapped in a headcloth. Jesus told them, 'Unwrap him and let him go.'" The Bible is always talking about zombies, and the only one that you care about is the Jesus one.
Wow, man, that's wonderful. Thank you to that brother for starting in such a good vibes way. Well, my friend, this book has lots of stories in it, and in multiple occasions, in several times, it talks about God's chosen people. And I'd like to know what you think about these God's chosen people. Is it a certain tribe or a certain people from a certain country? Or basically is the people that do God's will, those that spread love and care for their neighbors the way they care for themselves. Let's hear what this good vibes child of God thinks about God's chosen people.
If we all came from Adam and Eve, why does God only have one chosen people? Someone in my comments asked a question theologians have wrestled with for centuries. God created all humanity. Supposedly, every person on earth descended from the same 2 people, which means every human being is equally God's creation, equally his child, equally made in his image, and then out of all of those people, God selected one specific ethnic group and told them, "You are my chosen people." Deuteronomy 7:6 says, "The Lord your God has chosen you out of all of the peoples on the face of the earth to be his people, his treasure possession out of everyone." He picked one group and everyone else got to just figure it out on their own. And here's where the theology gets really complicated. If God is the father of all humanity, then choosing one group as special makes every other group less special by definition. That's not unconditional love. That's favoritism. What about the billions of people born before Abraham who had no access to this God or his covenant? What about the civilizations in Asia, Africa, or the Americas who had never heard of God of Israel, even though They were God's children. Were they just born on the wrong side of God's preference? The chosen people doctrine doesn't just raise questions about fairness. It raises questions about the character of a God who would design a system where your access to divine favor depends entirely on ethnicity and geography. So, God explicitly chose one people. But if we were all equally His creation, equal treatment should follow, right?
Yo, my friend. What I can say on that is sometimes little knowledge is truly dangerous. Leave your comments on that, child of God. And we should all respect one another. Treat everyone equally with their own opinion. And speaking of respect, the guys from Chinese lands, my friend, take respect to another whole new level. And they never want to be looked down upon. You'd ask yourself why I'm telling you this. Well, my friend, the king of English lands visited China lands and he had to do something different, unlike what he has been doing in other places.
China is so good at exerting soft power subliminally, it's crazy, right? So right above is Donald Trump, J.D. Vance's convoy when they went to India, right? One thing you'll notice on the Secret Service trucks is that all the Secret Service cars that travel with the president and vice president when they go anywhere have DC plates, U.S. government plates, all right? They run with their own registration, right? Another instance, right? These are all DC plates in India. This was the convoy when it was running through China. You'll see right up front that they have made all Secret Service trucks affix a Chinese temporary registration plate. A temporary registration plate. Now, these trucks are not going to leave the president. They all run with in one convoy. They all move at the same time. So there would be no reason to really identify this other than what it is. Plus, it's like this massive Chevy truck, obviously the Secret Service. But they make them feel so small. Like, you're going to come in my country. You're not going to go do what you usually do. You're going to do what we want you to do. And so every single Secret Service truck was affixed with its own custom Chinese temp reg. And I know for a lot of people, like, oh, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? It's because China says you need to do things our way. We don't care who you are. We don't care what you bring. You need to do this our way. And this...
Now, my friend, respect people's lanes. Always. In this coming video, we see creatures of God. Only that one lives on land and the rest lives in the seas. Beautiful, wonderful creations, these ones.
Oh my gosh. I love you guys, but you guys smell really bad. You guys need to move. You got to move. I need you to move or let me go by. Don't bite me. Don't you bite me. All right, good boy. Good boy. Look at you guys. You guys are being good boys. All right. Oh, you're going to be the angry one. You're the angry one. All right, it's okay. I'm going to walk way around you. I know, way around you. Whoa, easy, killer. Bye, guys. Wow.
Okay, if you show someone from this side of the world a picture of those creatures, it would be hard for them to believe unless they really saw it. What could you imagine a fish that has a face that looks like that of a dog? That in itself is crazy. Maybe, my friend, that could be the reason as to why some people never believe that dragons really existed. Because we only see them in pictures. No real stuff has ever been recorded. These guys found out some painting that was behind another painting, and in it was what seemed like a dragon. Which could make you wonder, had the people in the past seen these things, or were they just mythical?
Did you guys know that not too long ago they discovered a painting behind an ancient painting in Italy? And what is shocking about this whole situation is not just there's another painting, like, paintings are all over the place, but the painting is of a guy on a horse slaying a dragon. So this is a painting. You got a blue sky, you got a guy on a horse with a spear, and this crazy dragon-looking thing with bones all around it. But here's the question you need to be asking yourself. Why is it not like a real animal that they drew? Why did they draw this fictional thing that's a total myth and that's not real at all? Why does the Chinese calendar have a dragon on it with a bunch of other real animals, one mythical fake one that's not existent, but they don't have a panda? This is actually two things in one. Ancient Chinese images, they've drawn everything, but they never drew a panda up until the early, 19th century something? Which is shocking. Why wouldn't the panda be on here, but a fake dragon is? Now, you may be thinking, like, maybe they thought, like, it was dinosaurs and they wrote dragon instead. Well, actually, the theory is, what if they weren't dinosaurs, but they were actually dragons? And then, of course, that leads us to the question, if there were dragons, where did they all go If they existed amongst us, it's like that should be pretty well recorded. So did the history get erased and they got rid of all the dragons? Or did they fly away past the ice wall or something? Like, these are questions you got to be wondering. Apparently, Marco Polo wrote, hold on. Marco Polo claimed that the Chinese emperor kept massive quote-unquote dragons in a province called Karazhan, which is modern-day Yunnan. According to his account, these creatures were raised by special families and used to pull large royal chariots in ceremonial parades. And what does a Chinese parade have today? Dragons, dude. Chinese New Year, it's all about dragons, man. So, what happened to the dragons? Comment your thoughts below and follow for more.
Oh man. Could those dragons really have existed? It's crazy to think about it. There's lots of pictures in different places of them. You'd wonder where people really got that idea. Well, my friend, humans are incredible and can do incredible stuff. Go to extremely incredible and high limits just to prove their uniqueness. Some people have been trying to go above or to the Mount Everest peak, and not all of them, my friend, reach there. Some people lose even their lives on the way. And what happened to them? Let's see, my friend, what goes on after those guys loses their bodies. Hear this.
On the summit ridge of Mount Everest, it's littered with frozen bodies. There's bodies everywhere up there, dozens of them.
You saw them?
Oh yeah, they're on the route. Like, there's tons of them.
Okay, but if there's there, can't you just toss them down the hill?
People won't touch them because it's bad juju up there, but if they are close enough to a crevasse or the edge, we'll push them over. But most of them, are, let's say, 20 feet off the trail. And it's like, what's the point? You're going to go over, just leave them alone, right? But the crazy thing about all those bodies out there is that it's not a bad way to go, because you're perfectly preserved for eternity. Like, it's like Walt Disney, right, is in a cryo chamber and shit, right? Just go to Everest. There's like all kinds of bodies they could bring back to life, right? That technology ever comes in. But the crazy thing is that the ravens fly up to the summit ridge up there. So all the bodies that are up there that don't have like their goggles still intact, the ravens peck out their eyeballs. So there's just these frozen bodies down there, like frozen in time with no eyes. It's the creepiest thing. And 99% of those bodies that are up there, they'll need the summit.
Really?
Yeah.
That's why you turned around.
Because they got summit fever. They didn't realize that the summit's only halfway. You got to get down. And when you're coming down, if you got nothing left in the tank, if you gave up everything to get to that summit, now you're coming down, like you can get in trouble real quick at that altitude.
Okay, man. That's quite interesting. And yo, my friend, do you think that these alien videos we see around here are real? Or maybe it's just made up videos to trick us? Have people really seen them? Do they really see them, or is just tricks? Let's hear what our friend here has to tell us on these alien things and if they see them or not.
So, Michael, tell us what happened after you saw the video and you thought it was, the flying object, and then it got deleted, no longer to be seen?
Yeah, so when we got back it was in Subic Bay in the Philippines, and that's when we were on Liberty. So we ended up having the first night. It came back on ship, and my camera was on my rack. So the memory card and the battery were taken out of that.
Did you see it taken out by someone?
No, I did not. No, I had it secured in my locker, of course. Okay, and another battery that I had for a backup, so I popped that one in. Nothing happened with that camera. So subsequently, after we got back to Camp Hansen, there was an Air Force Lieutenant Colonel that met up with us and some of the guys that were with me and basically made us forcefully sign a non-disclosure agreement and a TSSI document that stated that we couldn't talk about what we saw. We were threatened with treason, with a capital crime, including death or imprisonment. So that's what happened after.
Okay, that's very serious. Dr. Greer, how did you learn about Michael's story and what he experienced?
Well, he approached me some years ago, and of course, when he told me the story, we knew it was a man-made UFO, or UAP, probably from the Lockheed Skunk Works. And the big story that no one wants to talk about is that 80% of the sightings of these objects are man-made, and they've been used in human trafficking. What he saw were crates with HVAC systems on it being loaded on to this 300-foot diameter octagonal UFO, but it was not alien, it was ours.
Okay.
And so the ones that are man-made are the dominant phenomenon being seen. There are extraterrestrial ones, or NHI, non-human intelligence, but that's probably a minority now. And this is the big story, is that the technologies behind those systems have been developed by someone called deep state, but illegal and unconstitutional programs. So tomorrow we're doing a National Press Club event at 3 p.m. where we're going to have multiple whistleblowers like Mr. Herrera to sort of unpack that and expose what's really going on. And of course, the president has ordered a release of many files. But the question is, has he gotten enough information about this? My archive has some 20 terabytes of data. I have 760 whistleblowers like Mr. Herrera.
So, Mr. Herrera, Michael, last year you issued a warning to other whistleblowers. You briefed the Senate Intelligence Committee. You've also briefed the Pentagon. Do you still have warnings for other whistleblowers who may come forward, or have you seen more cooperation now that the president has said we want more transparency around UAPs and other things that have been not explained that people are clearly seeing and recording on their own devices?
Well, that's an excellent question, Katie. I'm still always cautious to let people understand that there is a big risk when coming forward to an extent. Now, when we have legislation that was passed through the National Defense Authorization Act that allows certain precautions to be taken for people's careers, but when it comes to personal safety, it's a lot different. So working towards people's personal safety is the biggest concern as long as they're protected. A lot of these people also have families. They have a career that rewards them and pays them enough to take care of their families. So when they give up that line of work, they no longer have that stability. So they're coming into the public world, if you want to call it that, with no stability. So again, they're losing their career, they're losing their clearances, they're losing everything, and including their pensions and their benefits.
And also, they're often threatened with what are called wet works or targeted killings. So
who is threatening them? Who is doing the threatening?
we know who they are. I don't want to name names right now.
Are they from the government? Or are they
They're
private?
mostly private corporate contractors that have been ordered to snuff out people. And this is absolutely true. Now, law enforcement has been given this information over the last 3 or 4 years by us, and we're hoping that Kash Patel and the Department of Justice will run that to ground, because they're doing extrajudicial killings, but the entire programs are being run off budget and treasonous. So remember, I briefed the first CI director for Bill Clinton, and they knew nothing about this, even though we had the evidence for it.
So, Michael, are you concerned about your safety?
I've got things in position just in case things do happen. I am working actively with federal law enforcement. In certain instances, I'm not going to go into, but again, people's safety and people's security is very important. So if the government's going to take serious of this nature, at least what we're dealing with reprisals, if they're able to tackle that problem significantly, you're going to start seeing a lot of people want to come forward with information that is going to be correct, and it's going to pave a way for the government to actually have knowledge into certain programs that have existed illegally and unconstitutionally.
Oh man, myself, I don't believe these alien stories. I don't really think they are real. It's unbelievable. But most the people that tell about them look like very respectable people. It's crazy, my friend, what really goes on in this world. Well, look at this physics experiment here. Is this a way of creating free energy, or what's going on? Wow, look at these fluorescent lights here.
Andy sent me a post of a guy who lives near power lines, which I have some go right over the back of my property. The guy put a fluorescent tube in the ground and it lit up. Well, under the power line. It actually works. That, I don't know if that's awesome or if that's sketchy. We'll go into the ground and it it lights up, and like wherever I put my hand, it completes that circuit. But what's really cool is it takes the path of least resistance, so it's going straight through. If I take my shoe off, I'm no longer insulated, and I touch the ground, it turns off, because I am now the path of least resistance to the ground. How cool is that? And what's really neat is I can insulate that. I didn't think this was gonna work. I owe Andy big time because this is pretty amazing. So again, I'm not sure if I'm happy or weirded out that works because I live right by power lines and this energy is just there all the time. But all we know from this is that Tesla was right and they need to release the other boxes of his research. That's all.
Is that a thing that you can do with all fluorescent bulbs, or is just that one? Or is it just because our friend there lives near the power line? It's unbelievable. That's some interesting experiment there. Lots of interesting stuff in this world, my friend, and lots of interesting videos we just watched today. Thank you very much for your time, my friend, watching up to this point. Lots of love and respect. I hope you leave your comments in the videos you just watched. Tell us what you think about them. Tell us what you'd like to watch more on those videos. And if you even want to see more thought-provoking stuff, check out the video that will be suggested here at the end of this one. So till that time, my friend, have some lovely, wonderful time from where you are. God bless you abundantly and fill you with love. Bye bye. Peace to you, child of God.